Okay, I think this is all up and working. I'm doing my best to record, so I'm hoping that it works and all those babes that can't make it live can catch up on the recording. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I absolutely adore astrology. Um, I have found it to be a beautiful remembering of who we are at our core. I practice what we call evolutionary astrology, and I'll go through that in a minute. But it really is the new age kind of astrology where we look at practical ways that we can look at the moon, the stars, the planets, and see how that we can lean in to these things to make our reality, our everyday life, feel more at ease and that we can live with more flow. Of course, there's peaks and troughs of everyone's lives. Um, and there's the things that will challenge us within astrology and things that will feel more easeful, but it really is about navigating it, as I say, for a way that feels really good to the individual and really helps to lead a life that feels more energetically aligned. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. Today, it's going to be short, sharp, and sweet, and we're going to dive into the full moon that's actually coming up on Monday. So it will be Monday in Melbourne. Today is Friday, the 16th of August, and it will be coming in on the 19th of August, early afternoon. The thing with a full moon is that we can really feel the energy of the full moon, not only on that moment itself, but also days before and after. I feel like I am already feeling it a little bit, and we will explore the why, what's coming up for me, and how I relate it to the moon throughout these slides. So I'm going to share a slide deck. I hope that you can see it, and I hope that this is valuable for you. If you are catching this on replay, feel free to screenshot it and share it to your stories to get the word out there about astrology, and about my services, a shameless plug, and also any takeaways and how this has resonated for you. I would love to hear. Right, let me just share screen. Screen. I think that this is it. I'm actually so bad at tech. Okay, here we go. All right, this is looking good. This is looking good. So I'll go into present mode, and I'm hoping I go full screen. Yay! Okay, we love it when it works. Mercury is in retrograde, which can sometimes mean that there's a few communication elements that pop up. So I really want to start here, the full moon in Aquarius, and I saw this and I was like, yes, this absolutely sums up what a full moon is, regardless of what sign and energy it is. Full moons are a window for release, clarity, and illumination. I love that. As I touched on, I practice what we call evolutionary astrology. And this is an excerpt from a book called The Inner Sky by Stephen Forrest. And it's like a Bible for astrologers who practice this. Now, what we share here is that astrological symbols are neutral. So there's no good or bad, there's no you're completely doomed or you're going to win the Tats Lotto, right? We look at these things in a neutral perspective, and they are an invitation should we choose to lean into them. There is no prediction. That is very old school of like the old lady around a crystal ball talking about astrology. That's not how I fly. We hope that the individuals are responsible for the way they embody their birth chart. So everything I say here, obviously take it with a grain of salt. And what you want to implement, you can. What you don't, leave it at the door. No astrologer can determine a person's level of response to his birth chart from the birth chart alone. And we love to think of the chart as a blueprint, a soul's blueprint for the happiest, most fulfilling, most spiritually creative path of growth available to the individual. There's something about that line when I first read it, and it literally gave me goosebumps and made my hair stand up on end. And I was like, oh, this is where I need to be. And it really helped me to lean into astrology further. And I do apologize. I've got things over here that I'm looking at, and I'm realizing probably in the replay, I'm looking and darting from one space to the other. So bear with me here. I wanted to speak about, and I will not go into all of this today, so don't worry, I don't want to be too heavy on the ins and outs. I do want to keep this kind of light and fun, but I really wanted to, obviously we're talking about the full moon, and I hope you can see my cursor. It's the bottom left one here. And I want you to know that there are different moon phases. This was kind of new to me when I first found astrology. I knew there was things called a new moon and a full moon, but you know, what they really meant, both like in the actual physical sky, but also in astrology terms, I was not quite sure. But then I learned there's like 8 phases altogether. I think that is so cool. And you know, we start at a new moon, we go all the way through what we call the waxing phase, which is across the top here, and then we hit the full moon, and then it's the waning phase. So some of you might have heard of that. This could be new to some of you as well. Don't stress. I just want to make you aware of it. So what the new moon typically represents is the intention setting. And as we get to the full moon, this is the releasing, the start of the releasing phase, which is why you hear things around the full moon of like, oh, the full moon sends everybody nuts. Or people say, gosh, I had a really tough time that last full moon, which is actually why I decided to do this in the first place, because last full moon, I had a lot of people in my DMs like, what is going on? I feel all kinds of ick. The full moon is going to be a time to look within, right? It's what we could be releasing. It's not necessarily a time to be starting a new project or setting a new intention, but more of a reflection on what we have just been through, what we have learned, and what we're going to now release until we get back to the cycle again of the next new moon. So it basically goes like this, and it just keeps looping around. New moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, right? And it keeps going all the way around. So I hope that is a little bit of fun information for you. I wanted to show you, and what is it called? Astronomy, right? This is like when we're actually looking at what the moon compared to Earth, compared to the sun looks like. And I found this diagram really helpful when I first was learning about this. So I thought I'd just pop it in the slide. The new moon, which is when I was talking about setting the intentions, right? What it looks like in the sky is this. So this is Earth, this is moon, this is the sun. The new moon, it says, is barely visible and occurs when the Earth and the moon are aligned with the sun, and the Earth is aligned, and the sun and the Earth are on opposite sides of the moon. Wow, what a mouthful, right? But I just want to give you the reality of what this actually looks like. So there's the moon, then we have the Earth, and then we have the sun. So that's what the new moon is when we're setting intentions. And then what we're talking about today is the full moon. So the full moon is visible when the moon is on the opposite side of Earth than the sun. So this is where it's flipped. So now we have Earth in the middle, we've got the sun, and then we've got the moon. And I love this little quote here. The entire face of the moon is visible to Earth, is fully illuminated. That feels pretty special, doesn't it? Right? No wonder it mixes up so many emotions within us and within the whole collective, right? Yeah, it's a pretty special time. So astrology and the moon. As astrologers, what do we associate with the moon? And whether you're new to astrology and you've never heard of this before, or you're like, I know all about this, I really invite you to look through this through the lens of a beginner. And perhaps there's something that you can take away that either you need to remember or that you haven't heard before. And if you're new to this and you think, holy shit, this is so much, I know and trust that what you need to hear today will land for you. And as I say, I can't wait to hear what that is. So when we talk about the moon, we know in astrology that the moon rules the sign of Cancer, Cancerian. It also rules the 4th house. And what does this mean? It really is about like roots. It's about home, belonging, a lot of emotional, a lot to do with emotions and things like that there. The astrological orbital time of a moon is every 28 days, right? So that's how we sort of then talk about the months, right? And then the moon actually transits each sign every 2.3 days. And I know that sounds very specific, But what that means is, so when we're talking about this one coming up and it's in the sign of Aquarius, it will be there for the next kind of 2.3 days. And then it moves to the next sign and the next sign and the next sign and the next sign, which is also why we can feel a little bit like all over the shop emotionally if we have lots of Cancerian energy in our charts, because it's ruled by the moon. So our ruler is continuously moving and changing and going through the motions. We also speak about the moon as a representation of a person's internal world. This is their emotional personality. It's their intuition. It's our nature. It's what we gravitate to without even thinking about it, right? It's just what we're drawn to. It's got a lot of feeling, a lot of emotion, and it's what I put a question here about what makes you feel nurtured, safe, and secure. If you think about that, that will light up where your moon placement is in your chart. So for me, as an example, I am a Cancerian sun. My sun sign is actually ruled by the moon. So I feel very safe at home, around people I know, within close proximity of my family and, core people around me. I don't have like a zillion friends, but I have a close-knit group, and I am totally invested and feel totally secure when I'm around them. So that's what we think of the moon in astrology and what that represents. Today, we're talking about the full moon. So I've added this extra section here. When we talk about the actual full moon, it is a time, as I said before, to release. It can be a time to really feel a little bit introverted. Like, I wouldn't be surprised over the coming days if you're feeling like, I just need to go to my safe space. I need to just go within. And that's when we talk about reflections. What's coming up for me? How do I feel? Really checking in. The opportunity to release. What is serving me? What isn't serving me? And what isn't serving me, how can I let it go? It's a time for inquiry. It's a time for slowness. And a little mantra there, which you can, if you're feeling wobbly, if you're feeling like you're being pulled from pillar to post, if you feel like, oh, it's that full moon energy again, I invite you to stop and say, okay, I want to let go of, and listen to what your intuition says, and then work on how can I let that go. So that's what we're talking about, the full moon. And to piece this little puzzle together, we're going to look at the Aquarius energy. So we've got a full moon in Aquarius energy. So the full moon, changes, each sign. So at this moment, it is Aquarius. When we talk about Aquarius, I actually wanted to put this little glyph here. You might have seen this, and maybe you're an Aquarius, have an Aquarius sun sign yourself. But we often look at the little glyph as the two squiggles. Now, this is actually come from referring to, water and energy, flowing, frequency, movement. And I've written here, it nourishes new life in the form of ideas. Oh, that just gave me chills. This sign is all about, it's an air sign, so it is about ideas, communication. And I've actually written some things here. So air sign, extroverted, rebellious, humanitarian. It has staying power. It's associated with the 11th house, which is, macro, bigger groups, the humanitarian, broad social ideals. Whenever I'm talking about Aquarius energy, I always have this picture of what it means to me. And I think my astrology told me about this initially, or something of the like. The Aquarius energy is the girl who is like marching down the street as an absolute rebel, trying to do the best for the overall humanity. She's like, leading a protest with a big flag, and she's going to march all the way down to wherever she's going. And she's like, this is what I stand for. I don't care if people, if this is a norm or not. This is what I stand for. This is why I'm here, and I'm doing it for the people. That is this kind of energy. I have a sister who is an Aquarius sun, so I'm very, very comfortable with that rebellious nature. Sometimes it can be a lot, but it's always they're doing things for the greater good, which is beautiful. Other traits that are associated with Aquarius energy, innovative, unconventional, original, very supportive, and very much there for the community. So you can see that we've got like this full moon of internally what's going on with me, reflection. And then you've got this energy of, okay, broad social ideals, rebellious, innovative, unconventional, community, original, support. Where are you giving to your community? How do you feel about like what your next project is? What are you working on? What has been working? What hasn't been working? When was the last time you were a bit of a rebel? Did it work out for you? Did it not? Right? This is a very generalized chat here because I don't know personally what your chart is. So I did put a note down here and say, where is Aquarius in your chart? And where is the moon transiting your chart? What the heck does that mean, Tamika? Don't worry, I got you, babe. Next. This is what a natal chart looks like. I'm not going to go into how to read a natal chart today. That is a whole other workshop for another time. But at a very basic level, this is my natal chart. This comes from knowing my time of birth, place of birth, and obviously date of birth. And each of these triangles represent a different part of life, from money to communication to relationships to career and legacy, all the things. And because we're talking about the moon, it's actually really fun that the moon gilf is so easy to spot. Mine is here, down here. And I actually do have an Aquarius moon. So this particular transit is what's happening in the sky, how it affects my personalized chart. It's like going to be lit the fuck up for me. Highlighted, bolded, exclamation pointed, right? Because I already have a moon in Aquarius. My moon in Aquarius here is in the 3rd house. It's about communication. So when we're looking at how this affects you, I would get you to look at 2 things. Firstly, look at 2 things. I would look at where Aquarius is in your actual personalized chart and where the actual moon moving is affecting your natal chart. So to give you an example of this, I screenshotted my chart and the current transit that's happening in the sky to give you a bit of a look. Here we go. So the inner circle is my personalized chart, and the outer circle is what's happening in the sky as of 19th of August, which is when the full moon will be. So here I've got my moon in Aquarius. That's personalized to me. The outside, this is what everybody's feeling. But the way that this chart is positioned is that it's lighting up my 4th house. Plus I've got my natal 3rd house. So things around communication, relationships, emotions, home, they're things that are going to be coming up for me in this full moon. If you don't know yours, I suggest you book in for a reading and we could always look it up for you. Or if you are familiar with your natal chart, bring up your natal chart and then pop the transits across the top of it to see what the impact is. Okay, moving on. I'm going to send the recording out to anyone that's watching this on, who wants the replay or is watching live. So I'll just flick through these real quickly. But when we're thinking about the full moon, it's a perfect time to look inward and recalibrate. As I said, let go of what's not serving you. Reflect on what's working, what's not working for you in your life. So if we're thinking about all these reflections, what are we actually supposed to do during a full moon to bring these revelations to light? This is the fun bit. This is what I would be doing over the next sort of 48 hours until the full moon, and then even a day or 2 after. And feel what's good for you. But the most important thing to do is to get rid of any pent-up energy. This can be through singing, dancing, burning things, like letting go of stuff, burn it. Writing down how you feel, letting it out through journaling. And there's also things like I've written here, meditating, deep breathing, and grounding yourself. If it feels like there's too many reflections, and especially this Aquarius air energy, it can all be up in your head. You could be firing on all cylinders, thinking of a million things at once and actually not feeling, how am I even going to get through this and what's going on, and can't even think straight. It could be those kind of emotions. That's when you like put your feet outside in the sand or in the grass and ground into earth. You can eat a healthy meal, go on a cleanse. I've just finished a detox, perfect timing, right? Detox everything out of yourself. Whatever you can do to really ground yourself and recalibrate is a fantastic way to use this energy to actually reflect on what's going on. So here, I would love for you to write these down or even just think on them. The full moon Aquarius journal prompt that I have put together for you is, where is my overthinking keeping me from taking action? Can I let it go? And what are my values around it? I really want you to pause and ask yourself, how are you feeling physically and mentally? I want you to be very honest. You don't have to share this with anyone. As I said, it could just be in a journal or a voice note to yourself, or thinking about it while you're out on a walk, grounding and walking and thinking it out. But I feel like these questions could absolutely help you in moving through this energy over the next few days. And finally, I just want to share that for anyone that watches this full moon in Aquarius full moon workshop, that I have a gift for you. You can use this code word, which is AugAstro or August Astro, and receive 10% off any of my readings on the 23rd and 30th of August. Those dates and time slots are available and alive now. First in, best dress, and you will receive a 10% discount. That way we can dive into your personal natal chart, what the full moon can mean, what's actually happening in the skies and how that affects you, and anything else that you have coming up in questions around relationships, money, communication, work, legacy. It can be really, really fun to dive into and really remember your kind of reason and purpose for being here and investigate your soul's blueprint. I really hope that that has served you. There we go. I really hope that that has served you and you enjoyed this time together. And I really hope that you can navigate this full moon with a little bit more ease and grace. If you have any questions at all, please pop me a DM at tamika.riztix on Instagram. Have a great day. Bye.